Hi, thank you for the introduction. Can you hear me all right?
Someone give it a thumbs up. Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Perfect. I wish I could be there with you all. Well, let's crack on then. So, okay, let's see. Does this work? Right. So, game changers in media and communications. Let me start my session with a classic pandemic joke. Who led the digital transformation in a company? The CEO, the CTO, or COVID-19? It's pity that many people said that it was actually COVID-19 who led the digital transformation in the company. And this was exactly the same for the many media companies. Why? Because if you think about it, some of the media companies have been around for decades and centuries, and you can imagine how traditional and conservative they can be. I actually have a story. So when I was working as a broadcast journalist nearly 10 years ago back in Japan, I was speaking to my boss about the importance of going online. So he was in mid-50s and he has been working in the journalist world for ages. He has never worked outside of the organization. And he was a big thing because he was going to be the next head of the entire news department. So I was explaining, this is very important, you have to go online. And for example, we should start publishing news clips on YouTube. And can you imagine what he said to me? His response was, what's YouTube? And this was only 10 years ago in Japan. Yeah, so like this illustrates how conservative or traditional many of the media companies can be. So pandemic has been a huge driver for the change within the industry, mostly from the two sides. One is from the change in the consumer behavior, and another side from the change within the industry. So if you look at how many of you have changed, if you think about how your life have changed in the past 15 or 16 months, we had multiple lockdowns, everything went online or virtual, and one of the major change for the consumer behavior for the media industry is that many people spend more time watching screens. So this one, as you can see, this is average time spent on watching audio video content per day per person. So in 2020, on average, people watch 6 hours and 25 minutes of the contents on TV, which is 30% up from the previous year. And the greatest growth in the media industry is that, as probably you've seen, the subscriber growth in the subscription services like Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, and Disney Plus. So for those services, people watched roughly 1 hour and 11 minutes of those contents, which is double from the previous year. But however, this sharp increase in the demand was met with, unfortunately, the inability to create the content from the producer side. If you remember, the news production, sports production, live sports, everything came to an abrupt halt. And in the US, over 450 movies productions went on halt only in the US. And all the movies, the cinema room went dark, and there was no new content appearing in the media side, but people were demanding more contents to be delivered at home. And this is kind of led the huge decline in the revenue on the media side. So if you see at this figure here, advertisement spent on the TV spot has reduced 60% by 60% in 2020, and it's supposed to be going back this year. I'm hearing from lots of media people saying it's better than last year, but compared to the 2019, it's not going to be as good as what it used to be. Okay, so during these difficult times, we have been approached by many media clients. I work for Sony. And if you think of Sony, you probably will think of PlayStation, or movies and the TVs. But actually, we have a B2B sector, a B2B department who's helping the media content producers. So we provide the professional cameras, as you can see on the left of the screen, or like switches or software solution services. So like if you think of the like how media people work, what they do is they send the camera person to on the field and they shoot something. And the problem here is that the media material is very heavy and big. The file size is very big. So one of the issues is how to send that safely back home. So many people still actually physically bring the physical like disk or camera back to the home base. And once it's arrived to the home base, they have a special server to import those files, and they have to edit. Here's another problem, because for the editing, high resolution editing, it requires lots of resource on a computer side, so it can't be done on the laptop. So most of the editors, like high resolution editors, needs to go to the office to actually do their work. And once it's done, it's loaded, the material is loaded onto the special server. As you can see on the right of the screen, it's called the Studio Sub, and it's loaded on there. And someone sitting in the chair there will press the button to broadcast it. So their workflow, like, you know, their main attitude is traditional, but on top of that, workflow is very, I'll say it's very hard. It's not as easy to say like same people to say, oh, it's COVID happened, you work from home tomorrow. It's not as easy as that. And it's very human driven. So we've been helping many of the media companies so far, and I've been involved in lots of interesting projects. So you will hear some of the interesting trends happening in the media industry today. Okay. So major trends. Number one, definitely, is content is the king, even more than before. So if you have more content, more customers will come to you. So if you think of what Netflix was before, they were relying on the buying licensed content, like famous sitcom, Friends, or The Office. Those were the most popular shows a few years ago. But now their most popular shows were Netflix originals. They are spending $70 billion US this year only to generate original content. So their popular shows are now the Queen's Gambit or the Tiger King. You know, so this is how they acquire customer and retain them. And the second thing is that the customers are wanting to have contents on multiple devices. You might want to read your news on a laptop, mobile, or even on a tablet. You want to cast your YouTube video and watch it on a bigger screen. You know, this customer needs has been quite huge, right? And what this means to the content producer is that, you know, if you think of the TV screen, it's landscape, right? But if you look at the Instagram story, it's portrait. So does that mean the content producer needs to create at least 2 kinds of video edits? The answer is yes. So that means it's very costly for the media producers. And lastly, customers are demanding the richer experience. For example, if you're watching a tennis, you want to choose which camera angle that you want to watch the match from. You know, we need to provide the capability for the users to choose which camera they want on their screen. Another thing that we're looking at is the immersive experiencing using the, for example, PlayStation VR headset. We're looking at how can we broadcast the live sports onto that virtual reality headset. So customers are wanting more and more like enriched content from our side. On the other hand, if we look at the industry side, I think one of the major trends definitely is that the COVID safe production. So as I said, their workflow is very human driven and very conservative, and they needed to figure out what can be done online and what can be really need to be done on site. So they need to separate that and figure out how can we do that COVID compliant way. The second thing is do more with less. As I said, the revenue has taken a great hit. So they wanted to create content, but at the same time, their revenue, their investment and resource were limited. And lastly, I think I put, sorry, it's a little bit tiny for now. Right. So about that. Yes, and then they are creating the like a richer content for obviously, but they have the very limited resources I mentioned. So those has been the, like a major trend that's happening, and naturally the media producers were looking into the technologies. So this chart illustrates, so what the IABN did was that they surveyed the media companies and asked what are the like a very most important technologies in the roadmap. So the major ones are cloud and virtualization. So 60% of the media companies who responded to the survey said 60% of them said, yes, this is the most important one. Other ones include the remote COVID safe production, and also there's the OTT, so that's kind of like a Netflix type of service so that they can get the direct revenue from the consumers, and also AI and machine learnings were one of the top items on the list. So let me share some real life examples, right? So this is I'm sure you've seen this, and it's happening at the Wimbledon at the moment. So this is a line calling system developed by Hawkeye, which is a Sony company. But anyway, so before pandemic, how this was used was that when player wanted to challenge a line umpire's judgment, they will like call for a review, and this was used for the review. But what is happening right now is that we developed the system that this system can call the line judgment immediately. So they can call it live. So this system has replaced the line umpires in the US Open last year. So what this means that line umpires, 7 line umpires, didn't need to come to work for that match. And so that we can reduce the spread of the disease. So this has been proven very helpful in terms of the COVID prevention. Another one is the move to the cloud. As I explained before, lots of workflows are human-driven and it's very complicated. So we worked with one of the major TV broadcasters to bring lots of the workflows online. So before pandemic, what they were doing is that they were sending 20 to 30 people on site to set up cameras and everything, and they did all the work from there. So that what it means is that they have to send multiple 18-wheeler trucks on site and they set it up. So it was very costly. And after the pandemic, what they figured out is that out of like these 30 people, they really needed 2 people on site to set up cameras, audio, and lights. And after that, everything can be done remotely. So this was really good in terms of the cost saving. And also this is helpful, like this is helpful in terms of the environmental friendliness. So like this was great for sustainability. So the customer really loved this system. What enabled this move to the cloud is obviously the 5G technology. This is like showing how long it will take to download a 90-minute movie. And you can see how fast 5G can be. And as I explained, the media files are very huge. And without 5G, this type of remote work move to the cloud was not possible. Another area, exciting area, is obviously the AI, use of the AI. And in the media industry, it's mostly used to enrich the content. Let me share an example. So this is the auto highlight generation. So I'm showing the example of a hockey match. So what AI does here is that they look at each scene and they look at multiple things. One is the object detection. to look at where the players are. And they also measure the speed of the ball towards the goal. And also they measure the sentiment of the audience cheer. So after analyzing all of that, they tag each scene with something like goal, or they say like forehand shot or audience cheer. And after that labeling is done, the system will automatically pick which scenes are most important and automatically generate the highlights. And this is especially helpful in a live match because we can eliminate the human creating the highlights, right? And another area that we are using this kind of auto highlight generation is the golf. So I'm displaying how this is used at the golf to see the speed of the ball and how effective the impact was. And we just need to use 3 cameras to actually capture these. Another example, this is from the tennis. I kind of believe that you've seen before, but this is showcasing how Djokovic's slice was effective. 14 inches, very low. But this type of auto-generated content to provide more information to the audience to enrich their experience has been like a great usage of the AI. So there are more things that you can do using this machine learning algorithm. One area is obviously the speech to text. Other things are motion detection and chatbot. Advertisement companies are using the emotion detection, so they will check the emotion of the viewers or the audience to measure the ad performance before they actually spend money on the advertisement. And also some news companies are using, like, training the machine learning algorithm to detect the unconscious bias among journalists. So they will tell you if you are citing so many males comment rather than female comments, they will tell you that you are citing so many males comments. So there are multiple ways that people can utilize AI to enrich the content, right? So overall, what's happening in the media industry that, you know, they're focusing on creating better content, faster, cheaper, from anywhere, and technology is helping it. So that's all from me. Thank you very much. I think we have a bit of time for the Q&A. If you'd like to have any, if you'd like to ask any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Just having a quick look on our questions board for you now to see if we've got any questions come in, which I don't think we have any just yet. Is there any from our audience today? Does anyone wish to ask Hitomi a question? They all seem quite shy today, Hitomi, but I thought that was a brilliant, brilliant presentation. Thank you so much for sharing all of your insight with us. I really do appreciate it. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers. Take care.